Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Treva Stankard and I work in events and partner marketing here at TitanHQ. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to grow your MSP business. As we know, MSPs are incredibly busy, so we wanted to make this an easy and accessible webinar for you to learn how to grow your SEO. Some quick housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded and we'll send the recording out straight afterwards, so you can share with whoever you like. And you can submit your questions throughout. And we'll probably answer questions throughout the webinar as well as some at the end. And if we don't get to any, we will contact you directly. So for those who aren't familiar with TitanHQ, TitanHQ is a multi-award winning cybersecurity platform based in Galway, Ireland and Shelton, Connecticut. TitanHQ provides a range of cybersecurity solutions that include email security, DNS filtering, security awareness training, email archiving, email encryption, and DNS filtering. So lots to offer there. I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Brian McHale, a proud member of our marketing team here at TitanHQ. So Brian is the SEO manager for TitanHQ and has over 10 years working in B2B sales. Over this time, he has experienced the benefits of SaaS provides to both the company providing the software and the customer seeing it as an ongoing relationship packaged as a service. Brian, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate the time. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Treva.
We'll kick straight into the presentation. So, Brian.
All right, folks, thanks for attending today. This is a short webinar just about what SEO is and how it can help your business and how we can work this for an MSP. So the first question we get asked is, what is SEO? So this is search engine optimization. And essentially what you're doing is you're optimizing your website so that it appears on a Google search and it allows for customers to find your business when they're searching for a solution to their problem. This is typically done using content or developing extra pages on your site that address the question that is being searched. It's a great tool for us in TitanHQ, and it's definitely a brilliant opportunity for MSPs to use to create new leads for your businesses. Another more probably well-known lead generation tool is PPC. This is paid per click ads. And when you think of how a Google search looks, it can typically take up the top 3 positions in the Google search, but all of the other listings are what we call organic or influenced by SEO. So we can talk a little bit about the difference between the two of them, but essentially it's making your website appear at the top of Google for your potential leads to click. Next slide, Treva. So why should MSPs care about SEO? SEO leads are people who are searching to solve a problem. When somebody goes to a Google search, they're looking for information, they're looking for a product, they're looking for a solution. SEO has a better return on investment than any of the other channels. In some cases, it could be between 500 and 1300% return on the investment versus a paid per click ad, which every time that ad is clicked, you get billed or your business gets billed. Whereas with SEO, if you have a piece of content that's ranking at the top position in Google, whatever the cost it was to create that piece of content and optimize it, it's there. So every additional customer or every additional click you get through reduces that cost per customer. Whereas with paid, it's consistently are the same, or it may vary based on the bidding. Next, please. So SEO is a very powerful tool because it allows you to get high value leads. When we think of SEO, we think of different stages of the funnel. So if we look at what we call the AIDA model, attention, interest, desire, and action, a top of the funnel or a kind of brand awareness piece of content or search term allows you to get visibility and get in the minds of your potential customers. The interest then is something where you're able to pique their interest in terms of, okay, I have an MSP or I need some sort of solution for my business, just run a search and you can see that your MSP appears at the top of the Google. Interest then is when they're able to come through, evaluate your content, decide if they find it credible or if they like what you're saying, and that would trigger a desire. This desire is to learn more or to find out what it is your company can do for their business. And then the action is we want them to sign up for a demo, sign up for a call, ring your phone number or send you an email. So we're able to create pieces of content that give a holistic nurturing process to bring in new leads, to educate them and to prime them for your sales guys when they get on the phone. Next, please. When we think of SEO, there are two main categories and a third which we will consider. On-page SEO is everything that happens on your website. This is from the content to the way it's formatted, to the images, to the type of call to action you have for capturing the leads, and you can directly influence any of this. When we think of off-page, we're thinking of anything that's not physically on your site. So if you want to think of you do a social media post and you send a link back to your page or send a link back to your contact page, or if there are external third-party review sites, that's off page, but it can still influence how your SEO performance is. So we have to think of both areas, ones that you can directly influence and ones that you have less control over being able to influence. The next page, we'll see that we have a third element, which is the technical SEO. This is really where we look at your page speed. How does it load? How does it render? Is it optimized for mobile devices? How does it appear on different screen sizes, etc. So when we think of the three of them, we want to have a high performing site that offers valuable content that we're able to get credible links from third-party websites or third-party organizations and have that pointed towards our content. All of this is providing the value, it's providing information to your potential leads, and it's allowing you to show yourself as an authority in the space. Next, please. So when we think of technical, we've already said about page speed. We want this website to be running fast. There's a huge bounce rate if websites take too long to load. And so essentially that is a visitor comes, they're waiting for the site to load, it doesn't load, then they go elsewhere. A good guide there is to have your pages running in under 2 seconds. Google Lighthouse is a brilliant tool which you're able to use in your Chrome browser, which lets you to test and to see what sort of metrics your page is hitting. Schema is a brilliant tool which you're able to use to improve how the website appears in Google. So if we take like a review schema, this allows you to mark it up and tell Google that you have, so many, maybe 50 5-star reviews, and this appears in the SERPs with a 5-star rating then for your company. These are all little things that can help to sway the mind of a potential customer when they've run a search and they want to click through to the site. Hygiene as well is a big one on the website. So if you think of links, if you have a piece of content that's bringing new visitors to your site every day, the links have to be correct. So you want to make sure and test through that the links through to your call to action page, your contact us page, that this is all correctly working and there's no 404s. Next, please. So why is SEO great? Well, if you think of how many different types of customers you have, in some cases you got verticals where you may specialize in selling your solution to maybe the legal sector. You're able to create a piece of content talking about something like email archiving and tailor it specifically towards the legal sector. Now you may have some other industries then, maybe health or maybe in insurance, and you're able to create individual customized pieces of content to speak to those clients directly. And the benefit here is that you're adding more pages to your site, you're speaking directly to the clients, you're showcasing that you understand their needs, and you're able to get across the products or the solutions that you're offering that's most relevant to them, rather than a more generic, okay, if you're to sell an email archiving solution, well, if you're talking to somebody in the legal sector, you want to have that page talking about compliance and all these regulations and how this solution actually services that. Whereas in some other industries, you may not need to go into that level of detail. You just may need to talk about what email archiving is and how you service their industry. So by working on SEO, by building out pages on your site, and by speaking directly to your customers with what they're interested in or what services their needs, this allows you to become more relevant to their search term. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build up a little rapport. We're trying to show some relevance to what they're searching for. And ultimately, we want to give them the confidence that your MSP is the one that is best for servicing their company needs. Next, please. So other elements of SEO which really can help your business is to give the perception of trust and authority. Google use a trust metric when they're ranking websites. So the more trustworthy and the more authoritative that you appear both to the customer and to Google, the higher likelihood you have of seeing some sort of movement up towards the top of that page one. So we're talking about high quality content, expert-led opinions, and having that site working at a high speed, a highly optimized level. You want to be targeting the keywords that people are searching for. There are tools we can talk about in a minute which will help us to do some keyword discovery. But the idea is that we're really trying to get inside the head of searchers and to anticipate the searches that they're going to be doing, answer the questions, and do it in the most genuine and trustworthy way. When we think about why is SEO a better tool than something like PPC? If we think of paid ads, each time you run a campaign, each time it's seen and each time it's clicked, there's a charge there for your business. If you create a piece of content at a certain fixed cost, let's just say $200, that is the cost of that article. You may spend a little bit tweaking it over time or updating it, but provided the topic that you choose is not something, current affairs or newsworthy, that it's something more evergreen like an email filter solution or a phishing protection tool or phishing protection product, this is what we would call evergreen. So the idea is that it's not going to be a dated piece of material. Yes, you may have to update it in the future as things change or as your product offerings change, but the content is created, it's up, and it's there for a longer period of time. This allows it to get exposed to more people, and as that passes, we'll see more people click through, and this reduces that cost per creation event for the content. Next, please.
Just before you move on, Brian, I just have a question here that's come in, and I thought it'd be a good one just before we move on. What would be a good example of evergreen content for an MSP?
So if you're thinking about what it is that your tools provide, so if we were to say you have a security awareness training product, something like our Safe Titan, some of the searches that might come in when a manager is looking to find an SAT product might be along the lines of an employee phishing training tool or something like that. So this is a search term that has got a specific intent behind it. If somebody's looking for an employee phishing training tool, they've already identified that there's a potential risk with their employees. They know specifically phishing, and they know that they need some sort of training tools. So that is a very, very strong keyword for ranking. It's not going to change, whether it's now or whether it's 6 months or whether it's in a year's time. It's going to be some variation of that keyword that will be required or will be searched for in the future. So if we think of the content there, we would structure a piece of content that would, address the needs, identify that the employers need something to train their employees, and talk around the ability of, in our case, Save Titan to be able to deliver that. So it's not necessarily going to change. It's related to the product. It's relevant to the search. If you think in some cases, if there's a data breach or something like the Home Depot data breach there from a couple of years ago, if you were to write an article on that, that's only so relevant for such a period of time. Whereas an employee phishing training tool, that is something that is likely to be looked for into the future. So it's more of an evergreen piece than we would say the Home Depot data breach.
Perfect, makes sense. Thanks.
No worries. So there's a lot in SEO, and it can seem overwhelming at the start. Anytime I speak with a client or even with other MSPs, the first thing we have to do is decide what you want to get from SEO. This comes down to goals and your KPIs. So if you do not have a specific outcome in mind, you're really going to be guessing as to whether you're actually successful at your SEO campaign. So typical goals that you may be able to think of is increase traffic to your site. This is more of an awareness project, or maybe you want to get more people signing up. So what sort of content do you need to write that would actually convince somebody to sign up or submit a form for contact from your sales guys, and ultimately then to grow the revenue for your business. So starting out by defining these KPIs will help you to decide what type of content you need, what sort of keywords you need to search for, how you present it on the site, what's the call to action. All of this is built off of what are the goals and what are the KPIs. Next page, please. So you've decided what you want to work towards. The next step then is what we call keyword research. So if you want to get more people to your website, you have to think about what people are searching. So you need to do some research as to what are the terms that are being used and that people are using to find your competitor sites or would or potentially use to find your website. This can be a long process at the start, but there are tools out there which will help you to identify potential keywords, potential keyword topics and clusters. Some examples that we have here that you might want to consider be like a managed IT services solutions, or choosing an MSP or best MSP in my area. So if you think of like best MSP in Charlotte, these are the types of terms that you want to be ranking for. Each of these terms have certain intent behind them. So if you think of best MSP in Charlotte, my example given, somebody has already identified that they need an MSP. They've identified that they're looking for something in Charlotte, and they're looking for the best. So if you're ranking #1 for that and you're able to demonstrate why you're the best, this is a great keyword that you're able to target, create a page, create some content explaining why, and this allows you then to have a chance at ranking in the top of the Google search and bringing more people through to your site. Some elements with keywords with some of the tools that we use, they all offer a search volume. So this is an estimated volume of searches per month. So you can say that there might be 200, there might be 500 searches in a month. They also enhance this by offering a difficulty ranking. Now, these are third-party tools. They're never 100% accurate, but if you get an estimate that there's a potential 200 searches per month with a difficulty that's considered quite easy to rank for, this is a great keyword to start targeting once it's relevant to your original KPI. Next one there, please, Treva.
I just have another question for you, Brian, before we move on, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Kind of mentioned about certain tools there. Is there any certain tools or platforms that you recommend to MSPs for SEO keyword research?
Loads. I think you have a good start if you look at SEMrush or Ahrefs. They're paid plans, but they're really, really powerful tools that will help you to map out the keywords and to give you a fairly good idea of the kinds of searches that are happening. Google Trends is another very useful tool. And if you're looking more at the technical level of the site, you can look at something like Screaming Frog. So there's you have a fairly good stack when you look at those.
That's great. That helps, because I know with your, as you said, SEO is such a big area. It's hard to know where to start, and hopefully having a few key tools narrowed down that might help people a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them, there's either a free trial or a very cheap initial plan that's there. So it's a great way to dip your toe in and see what you think of it, and try and see if it makes sense for your business.
Brilliant.
Now,
Thanks,
as we said before, the difference between SEO and PPC. SEO is more long-term strategy. So when you create a piece of content, typically you might be waiting 6 months, you might be waiting 9 months, you might be waiting a year for that to start ranking in a strong position in Google. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a build-up time with this. We can't help that. But PPC is a great complement to that. So if you were to think initially that you start your campaign, you're creating the content, you're getting it up on the site, you're doing all the right things to support its organic rank, you can be running paid ads initially as well. And when the paid ads are bringing in leads, this also helps you to find out the kind of terms that are being searched, helps you to generate more content. And the idea is then that over time, you're going from paid ads as a primary channel and SEO as a non-contributory channel. And you want to start maybe reducing the paid ads as you're able to increase your SEO, to the point then that SEO becomes the stronger channel that's there. So they're a great partnership together. The only benefit is that with paid ads, you can start making new business tomorrow, but it's going to cost you for every single lead that you get through. With SEO, when you have the upfront cost paid and the content is there, it's great content, it's ranking on the site, over time, each additional customer reduces the cost of that. So you work out at a much more cost-efficient method of generating leads. You're building the authority of your site, and it helps you to stay on top of mind for all potential customers then when you're appearing in all these searches. Next one, please. So for MSPs in 2024, SEO is a very powerful way of generating leads, but it is very dynamic. Google is constantly updating its algorithm, which can pose some challenges if you're not following the best practice guidelines to the T. There will be an introduction of more chatbot focused searches as well in the coming months and years, but it's still a great opportunity for generating leads for your business. It's a very strong performer for TitanHQ as well. We really have a great team here working on our SEO, and we only expect that to develop over time. Using localized search is another very powerful tool, and it might be a great way to start off your journey once you've got past the KPI and goal definition period. So Google Maps allows you to start localizing your business. So when you're submitting your profile to a Google My Business, you're able to say that I have an MSP in Charlotte, and you fill out all your details, you verify that you're a real business in this area. And this is all stuff that helps to tell Google that when somebody searches for an MSP in Charlotte, or somebody that provides email filtering solution in Charlotte, you're in position to rank well for that. And it's also a lower competition way of approaching your content versus going for a more generic term like email protection in the whole of the United States. Another great tool that we have is the reviews. So people love to see positive feedback from other people. So all of your existing clients, as many as you can get, if you're able to fill up some Google reviews, the more 5-star reviews from the more people, it really increases the credibility. Google have this expertise, authority, and trust algorithm that really prioritizes companies that have this perception. So if you're able to get positive feedback from existing customers, this is giving you more 5-star reviews. It's great for improving your overall position. And then with the content as well, you have to make sure that it is authoritative. It is written by a real person. That person is somebody who knows their stuff and can speak to the needs of somebody who's running a search. Next, please. SEO is constantly evolving and changing. Google are constantly updating their algorithm, which determines where sites rank or what the criteria are that make sites rank. This is why you need to keep an eye on the content and its performance over time. And if you start to see a dip in performance, you're able to come in, maybe do a rewrite, do a review of the content, make sure that it still makes sense and that it is still relevant for your potential clients. Unlike anything else, SEO is a part of a marketing toolbox that helps to support your sales team and support your business. We also have an ebook created here, how to use SEO to grow your MSP business, which we'll be able to send out to everybody afterwards. With that, I'll hand it back to Treva.
Brian, thank you so much. That was brilliant. There's so much to cover in this area, such a complex area, but I think you gave everyone a good starting point of where to begin. And as Brian mentioned, we have a really good ebook that supports this webinar. So that's available in the handout section. So if you go to the control panel and go to the handouts, you'll see it's right there. Brian, thanks so much. It was brilliant. Just before we go into questions, I just want to give everyone a quick, give you all a quick update what's going on TitanHQ. So for those who aren't aware, we've just released our brand new partner portal. So this is where you can access sales and marketing content to support your SEO practices. Yeah, and it's just there on the website for you to help. I'm available. You can reach out to me. I'll leave my email in the description box or the control panel here, and I'm very happy to help you out in any way I can. But yeah, the partner portal, you can access sales and marketing resources, and it's very easy to access, and yeah, it's ready to go. So just a couple of questions I have coming in, Brian. We'll just do a couple, and any that I don't get to today, guys, I will contact you directly. So I'll just start with, so Brian, the first question I have here is, how long does it take to see results from SEO?
That is the $1-million question, really. More established sites could see content ranking and climbing up towards page 1 in a very short period of time. If you're just starting out, it may take a little bit longer for Google to find the content, find your site, start indexing it, and start putting it through the pages. So typically, I would think in 6, maybe 9, 12-month periods. We've had pages indexed within a day or two as well, but it's a very hard one to say because it's down to if Google can find your page and then where it falls within the competitiveness of competitors and within Google's algorithm. So it's a hard one to put any solid number on. I think in terms of 6 to 12 months generally.
Brilliant. And in terms of time, Brian, is it better to spend more time on SEO or social media?
I'd see them as complementary. When you create a piece of content, when it's on your site and it hasn't been indexed by Google, it's going to be a lot harder to find. Whereas if you're able to share that content out, get it on social media, maybe get mentions from other people's websites back to yours, linking back, all of this helps to increase the visibility of your content. Social media can be great also because if you're able to share this out with your network, you can get real life feedback on it in the early days, and it allows you to come back and say, right, there's a section here that doesn't resonate with somebody who's read it. You can update that, rewrite it if needs be, and make it more easy for somebody to understand. So I'd always see SEO and social media as being very close partners. We ourselves, when we create new content, we always distributed it out on our social channels. it just helps to boost the visibility, especially in the early days, and it helps us to get more real human eyes on it first, especially people in our network, so that we're confident that the content is in pristine condition for people who don't know us, who are finding us through Google search.
Brilliant. It's true. We do a bit of everything here, don't we, Brian?
Absolutely.
One more question for you, Brian, and we'll wrap it up there so everyone has a few more minutes before their next meeting. Last question is, should I pay for SEO?
I think realistically, it depends on your position within your company. If you're managing an MSP or an owner, you've got a lot of other stuff to be doing. SEO does take time. It does take a certain amount of expertise, although it would benefit greatly from your expertise and your knowledge of your industry. I think typically it's good to have somebody on your side who does this all day, every day, and you're able to support them then with the content and to make sure that the content is correct. So I think there's a blend between sharing your expertise, but I think also taking advantage of the expertise of a full-time SEO. It's probably more beneficial than trying to do it yourself. I've seen many times founders who tried to take it on themselves and realized that the time to go into the keyword research, to develop the expertise on how to rank a website, then to write the content, and then to edit it, and then to get it online, and then to optimize it over time, it can take a fair bit of time. So I would always say it's good to have somebody in your corner, especially in the early days, to get you set up, and maybe you can develop a process that you can follow then, or you or your team can follow down the line. But that would be what I've seen would be the best approach.
So maybe somewhere like Upwork might be a good place to start if you're a website like that.
I think it can be like anything, you have to vet who you're going to be bringing in if you're going to be bringing in an agency or a contractor. So it's important to take a little bit of time to do that as well. But there's loads of these sites out there that you can get resources from, and there's loads of agencies out there that can help, and even direct hires if it's something that you wanted to do. I myself, I was hired as just a marketing intern 12 years ago, and it was true working there and seeing that we had a limited marketing budget, and I took the initiative then to start working on SEO because I had time and I was able to learn it and I was able to develop it that way over that time. So there's a few different approaches, and I think it's important to vet anyone that you're going to be taking on for this sort of work.
Absolutely. Okay, Brian, that's great. We'll wrap it up there. And as I mentioned, everyone, the questions we didn't get to, we'll contact you directly. And I just want to say thank you all so much again for attending today. We do have a survey that'll pop up at the end. If you could just take a second to answer, just say, did you like the webinar? Do you like to see other types of webinars like this? Or if anything like that you're looking to learn more about, please let us know. Thank you, Brian, so much for your time and expertise. It's great to have you here with us, and hopefully see you all next time.
Thanks, Treva.
Thanks, bye.